Hello, welcome to the first Direquest project log. My name is Tony, the creator of Direquest. Direquest is a community-driven RPG that I run on Instagram. Each week, my followers comment and vote to decide how Aaron will continue his adventure. Aaron is a fledgling nomad currently on his first quest for the guild. He has just arrived at the farm in search of a few ingredients the guild needs, as well as information regarding its former inhabitants. He was approached by a talking rat with eyes of green flame. Agreeing to help the rat, Aaron has just met with Maeve, a woman who refuses to give the rat the last viable offering to keep his flame from going out, her late husband's cane. Aaron must now decide whether to continue helping the rat or side with Maeve. If that sounds like a lot and like there's some missing context there, well yeah, that's about the last month of play, but there's definitely more that's happened even since I've posted this video. If you'd like a full recap of the events leading up to now, feel free to look back through the account. I'll also be putting together a recap after this current quest is completed. For these videos, I want to highlight some of the work that goes into the project, show some time lapses of the artwork done, and answer patron questions as well. Starting off with the most recent post, Decision 13. This was a relatively simple post in terms of artwork, not too many moving parts, and the composition lent itself to an easy workflow. I struggled early on with finding a comfortable pose for Aaron to be in. Initially, I wanted him to be facing the camera, with his head whipping around to see the rat. After a handful of attempts, I settled on having him already turned and facing away from the camera. It may have made for a more dynamic pose, but time is generally short when working on these posts, so I can't fiddle with a drawing for too long. As the project has progressed, I've been adding more and more color to the backgrounds and characters, whereas when we started, I really only focused on coloring Aaron. I do stick to a very dark and muted color palette, but for this post, I wanted the green and purple background to really stand out. I knew I'd be animating it in After Effects later on, so it could be warped and moving in the door frame, so I made sure to give it a bit of extra room. Sharing the time lapses gives away some of the ideas that I have for the adventure. It's almost like hearing the DM's thoughts at the table, and then hearing a very slightly altered version of those thoughts when they say them out loud. For example, in this post, the rat didn't start off holding the ingredient that Aaron needs, but I decided that it adds some drama to the decision if it was present rather than back at the barn. Had I left it out, the audience might have chose to attack the rat right away, but now that he holds the important ingredient, perhaps they will hesitate. I'm not entirely sure how that'll work out, as I haven't posted the decision at the time of recording, but we'll have to see. I can rarely predict the outcome of a decision when I'm creating it, and I'm almost always proven wrong when I think I know how it'll turn out. I didn't end up recording any of the work that I did in After Effects, though it's pretty standard stuff. I just moved the characters around and warped the background a little bit. Moving into highlighting some of the monsters we put together for the month, I collaborated with the audience and some patrons in generating a small line of critters. The initial inspiration came from a post where I asked my followers to comment 3 emojis to create a new monster. These specifically were a product of this comment and later named by this one. From there, I worked with patrons on the next 2 critters in the line. These are less evolutions of each other and more like different types of the same critter, like how bees and ants have different jobs in their colonies. I'd like to return to them in the future and even create some more, though I think I'm leaving it at 3 for the time being to focus on redrawing some of our older creations and update them a bit. I also created a handful of homebrew items for the month. I found inspiration in creating items that are based on mundane household items and spinning them into medieval weapons. I have a short list of ideas in my head for future items and will likely create a table soon to post on the profile. In terms of writing rules for the items, I've let myself off the hook in trying to write 5e tailored rules, and I found more joy in writing kind of funny taglines and descriptions for them instead. I've always found rules limiting, but I'm also just not that familiar with the specifics of 5e, so rather than trying to adhere to the rules I don't know, I just leave the rules open for creative use, as this is how I tend to DM anyway. Also started this month is Direquest, a monthly care package for patrons that includes a number of play materials themed around that month's adventure with Aaron. The first Direquest will ship at the end of August for $3 patrons, and $1 patrons can receive a digital version for online play. Patrons also receive transparent, original resolution versions of all items, monsters, and posts for that month. If you'd like to support my work, consider joining the guild on Patreon. $1 nomads help with item and monster creation, and $3 council members help develop lore and world building for Aaron to explore and experience. Answering a patron question, Councilman Stitch asked, how much content is created but discarded or unused? Well, when I started the project last year, there was a fair bit of content that never saw the light of day. Unfortunately, I had a mishap with my hard drive, so I can't currently show those images. They were done at a time where I thought I could still predict how the project would unfold, but over time I began to stop creating too much in advance as I kept having to scrap the work. Nowadays, almost everything I create for Aaron's adventure, Ruins of Zendire, is used as I don't have the time to create that much that won't be seen. There is, however, a post recently that was entirely drawn and animated, ready for posting, but I ultimately scrapped it in favor of taking the project in a different direction. I'm much happier with where we went, and managed to still use some of the artwork created for it in a future post anyway. More directly, I've gotten into such a rhythm of creating content strictly for posting that I almost always use what I create, unless it's intentionally for concept work, which there isn't much of because of how improvised the project is. I generally go with my first sketch or idea, for better or for worse. When I do have content that's been drawn or ideas that are sketched out that go unused, those are shared with patrons on our Discord or in the monthly Patreon update post. Before wrapping up, a huge thank you to all of my current patrons. I recently uploaded an update video for them, detailing behind the scenes work and giving them a look at what's to come. Without their support, Direquest wouldn't be where it is today, and I am extremely grateful for them. Thank you so much. And thank you for watching. I'm hoping to release a project log once a month, if not more frequently, but I can't make any promises. If you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel, leave a like and all that good stuff. Also let me know what you'd like to see in future project logs, as I'd like to develop reoccurring segments to share and update each time. To take part in the adventure, join us on Instagram at instagram.com/Direquest. To discuss the project and talk with other adventurers, join our Discord. Links to everything will be in the description. Stay safe and have a beautiful day.